Donald Trump. Well, let's go now to Sam ERMAN, who is Associate Professor of Law at the University of Southern California and a former clerk to the Supreme Court Justice Kennedy. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. We heard President Trump there, unusually actually staying out of this whole process. Where do you think this leaves the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, Judge Kavanaugh's nomination seemed like a sure thing just a couple of weeks ago, and suddenly it seems potentially in jeopardy. Having two senators on the Republican side demand an FBI investigation opens the door towards more facts against him coming out, or even discovery of more incidents. And so it had looked like he might squeak through early next week. Now things are up in the air again.
And if that does happen, if there are more allegations, it does seem as though there are enough wavering senators that the nomination could still be blocked.
That's right. So there appear to be three Republican senators, Murkowski, Collins, and Flake, who are not committed to voting for Judge Kavanaugh yet. And they have in the past also wavered sometimes and often come around to what their colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle are doing. But even by the standards of a remarkable political year in the United States, this is really a remarkable set of events that we're seeing. And so it's possible to imagine that one or two or all three of them may in the end not be willing to vote for the judge.
Yes, you say it was an extraordinary event, and yesterday's drama when we saw the two competing accounts of these sexual abuse allegations were gripping and contentious and clearly also very personal. As someone who was a former clerk to the Supreme Court, Justice Kennedy, have you ever seen anything like this before?
I haven't. So in the year I got to spend working at the Supreme Court, I saw the justices in a variety of different situations, and sometimes they would have moments where they were more passionate about something. Often they exercised what you expect of judges, which is that they were able to step back and think about things in a somewhat detached way. And I never saw anything like what occurred at the confirmation hearings yesterday with Judge Kavanaugh, with that level of anger and hurt and partisan forms of argumentation.
And given everything that has unfolded, just briefly, do you think that Brett Kavanaugh will end up on the Supreme Court? Well,
it's hard to say. It seems almost certain that Brett Kavanaugh or someone like Brett Kavanaugh will be on the Supreme Court because the Republicans control the government and they're committed to putting someone onto the Supreme Court. And so far, the senators who have seemed to be wavering are ones who have tended to go along with the party in the end. And so if history is our guide, they may well end up going along with their Republican colleagues and voting for the judge. On the other hand, senators care a lot about their own reelection and about maintaining the majority. And if a week's delay gives them time to get polls in the field and it turns out Judge Kavanaugh is less and less popular and that people believe Dr. Ford, then you could imagine some senators deciding that it's in their interest to abandon Judge Kavanaugh and try to ram someone else through.
Okay, Sam ERMAN from the University of Southern California, thanks very much indeed for talking to us this evening.